So this is the landing page. This is everyone, whether you're an agent or a customer. This is the CFM Insurance landing page. How you access the dashboard is right up here at the agent login. I have my login information saved. If you are new to CFM Insurance as an agency, or if you're a new producer within your agency and just now getting onboarded with your CFM Insurance login information, you should have received an email from HubSpot that is email specific to you that grants you access into this dashboard. If you did not, I will direct you as to where you can contact me to make sure that you get this login information, but it is a special login information for you. So we want to make sure that you have access to this dashboard. And this is the CFM agent landing page for this. I'm going to go over not everything because we do push a lot of information to this page, but I just want to hit the highlights. And so you can see this is where you have a BriteCore login right here. That's where Robin is going to go over. You have your 360 value, your replacement cost estimator here. We do require that for each home and farm quote that you or application that you submit. That is that link here. Insurance Now is where you quote CFM Auto. We are not going to go over Insurance Now today, primarily because we are on the last 2 or 3 months of being on this system before we roll out a brand new system that will start out with CFM Auto. So we're not going to spend a whole lot of time, but that is the CFM Auto. It's not monoline. You do have to have the home or farm with it. And if you have any issues, troubles quoting in Insurance Now, I'll also direct you to my information. I can help you out. If you scroll down, we are going to try to do a really good job of making sure that we have up-to-date information in this area. Any sort of notification that might have went out that regarding rate changes, product changes, we also want that to land on this dashboard. And so that's where you can find that here. We got some other information here as well. If you have an active Facebook page or any sort of social media, these are graphics and information that are here for your use. As you can see, you have lots of different types of categories that you can download and post onto your social media websites: renters, homeowner, farm, service line, lots of different subjects that are here for your use. Just click download. We also kind of have some instructions here. Download the image, upload it, copy and paste, and you're good to go. So these are all yours for your use. We do try to do a good job of updating this, but we kind of like being able to inform the agents, but also the customers as well in certain areas. The next area I will touch is the CFM staff. And so as a small company, we are accessible. And if you have a specific question, we want to make sure that you have the right contact to be able to ask that question with, whether it's email, phone call. This is the agency development staff. So you see myself, Jesse Miller, Danny Miller as well. You will start to see them visiting your offices here in Missouri. Jesse is based out of Arkansas, Danny out of Illinois. And so we are kind of your first contact. If you have any system challenges, whether it's quoting in BriteCore or anything of that nature, please contact us first. If you are needing production reports, if you are needing any sort of anything that is not related to underwriting, please direct your questions and contact to us three right here. And then if you scroll down here, agency support, more than likely you've received some sort of communication from Abby, Caitlin, or Leslie. Anytime that you add on a new producer within your agency, Abby would be the one, or Caitlin would be the one to issue that login information. If you have someone leave, please let us know so we can deactivate their account and make sure that we keep our records up to date. And so this is a team for your use in case you have changes that go on in your agency. Underwriting, this is an important team. I know a lot of you communicate with on a regular basis. Personal lines here, Steph leads the personal lines team, but I'm sure that you've received communication from all of these in some sort of fashion. Farm underwriting, so we have Robin on the call. We have a direct team for your farm underwriting needs here. Claims, so they've been busy this year, obviously, with the storm activity in Missouri, but Kent leads the claims teams. And so if you have a question or anything of that nature, you have contact information that drives it to them. Auto is separate as well. So we have a team for auto claims as well. Accounting, so if you have commission questions, need to make payments or anything like that, this team will help you out in that regard. We have a very robust marketing team that makes does our events, makes a lot of our marketing materials, social media. That's where this would come to play. IT, very important. Cybersecurity is certainly top of mind on our area, so we have a team dedicated for that. And then finally, our executive team, general counsel, and the team that supports the executive team there. So I just kind of wanted to run through the staff, because we are, again, like I said, a small company, but we want to make sure that you are able to contact and find the right person or the right department that fits your question. The next tab I will go over is the agent resources. This may be the most important page of this entire dashboard. This is where anything and everything from an underwriting or information standpoint, it's on this page. You have your manuals for homeowner and auto. You've got all of your signature required forms. You have your basic policy forms. Anything and everything that you would possibly need. We really drive people or agents to read over the manuals. I know that each carrier is a little different as far as what we look for or what we want. They're long, but well worth the time as far as getting an overall general familiarity of CFM insurance. Scroll down here. If these are our marketing materials that are created by our very talented marketing team. I won't go and click on all of these, but this one in particular, this all CFM products book, I see a lot of agents that have this right next to them, right next to their computer when we walk in for a visit. This has every single product that is for CFM and a lot of the guidelines that go within that product. I would highly recommend downloading that. That's also something that anytime I come in for a visit, I have a handful of these product books with me. And these are just some flyers for homeowners. We have everything from the countryside to rentals and the farm. These are all for your use to download as a PDF, put it on your desktop and save it. You got a policy flow chart that's kind of a graphic, nice little graphic, but then everything from equipment breakdown. If you're trying to sell that with a customer and they want more information about what is that? What exactly is equipment breakdown? Same thing with service line, inland flood coverage. Those three things, if you're trying to sell that to a customer and needing more information, these are flyers right here for your use. Finally, CFM logos. Lots of you have websites. I've also noticed that some of you still have the old CFM logo with the nice tree. Be sure to download this brand new logo and update your website. But if you have interest of putting the CFM logo on your website and updating that, that's also here for your download as well. And then you have up here, you have the co-op. This is where you can purchase, get the CFM apparel, requests here, printing materials as well. Agent contests, when we have contests that are active, we put those on here. And of course, also donation requests, very active in the communities. And so you can make donation requests here on that dashboard as well. That was a very quick rundown of the dashboard. Again, I just want to make sure that everyone is familiar with this. We try to drive a lot of information here. And so if you see anything or have questions about something that you feel like needs to be on here, I am more than happy and willing to make this the absolute best resource for you as we possibly can moving forward. So, Robin, did I miss anything? Did I gloss over anything that needed to be highlighted?
No, I think you're good. I think everything else will cover once we're in BriteCore. So yeah.
Okay, great.
So I'm going to run through a 360 value real quick before we hop into BriteCore. I have two kind of already started to make this a little bit faster. I have one that's a 1 to 4 family, and then another one that's an agricultural building. So we'll do both of those. We'll start with this 1 to 4 family here. When you get into it, it's just going to ask you basic information, name, address, and then you're able to put in the year here. If I was using a legit address, a lot of times your assessor's office will have that information that will default in here. So just make sure that you're double checking that. Sometimes the square footage and stuff like that is kind of messed up. So just confirm that with your insured. So we'll just put something in here. So this functional replacement cost, anything 1950s and older, you're going to want to check mark this functional replacement cost here in the 360 value, and then also in your policy as well. And I'll show you where that's at. What that's doing is that's just saying, let's say you have a 1905 home that still has a 1905 oak staircase. That's just stating that we're going to replace that with something from today versus a 1905 oak staircase. So, and then it'll make your estimate a little bit more accurate in doing that as well. So typically most of your homes are going to be standard on all of this. I love pictures. So I love that when you click on the picture, it does show you, what the definition of above average, custom, premium. Like I said, most of the time you're going to be working with standard on our replacement cost policies here. So go ahead and go do standard. So your use would be single family detached. If you are working with a duplex, you would change that to duplex. And then we do have our 3 family and 4 family that you could use as well. So style, it's going to default to unknown. If you do know the style of it, you can change to that. Just know that when you start picking some of these different kinds of dwellings, it does fluff up those values a little bit. And if you do need a picture, because like me, like I said, I like pictures, you can click on that style and it's going to show you the picture of what those dwellings look like. So we'll go ahead and go with a I like ranches, so we're going to go with ranch here. So then you're going to choose your number of stories, 1 story, 1.5, a bi-level or a split level. We'll stick with 1 story. Foundation type, whatever your foundation type is. If any part of that basement is finished, you would put that in here. And then if you're upgraded, minimal finish like that, it's walkout, check mark that. Exterior wall finish. If it's vinyl siding, you would choose vinyl siding. You're just going to pick your kind of siding here that you've got going on. So roof covering, pretty self-explanatory there. It is a metal roof. Most of the time it's going to be metal painted ribbed here. The roof shape you've got, is that not right? Oh, Steph, were you talking to us? Sorry.
Yeah, well, on the metal,
is that not right?
Is there a standing seam? Yeah, metal
There
standing seam is the one you
Okay.
want instead of the painted rib. I think that's the cheaper one. That's the one that's not typically on roofs.
Okay, so the painted rib is for my building, so I apologize.
Yes.
Apologize. Sorry about that. I was like, I know I use painted ribs, but that's when I go to the buildings. So so there you go. Metal standing seam. If you've got a garage, if it's attached, basement, carport, put those answers in there. So you have to answer everything that has an asterisk over here. As you notice down here, these things do not have an asterisk. They are not required to answer. The more information you know, the more accurate that this 360 value will come back. So if you know that they do have a large kitchen, that, you know, stuff like that, if you know how many bathrooms they have, so on and so on, those are things that you can add on there. If you know that they have additional features outside, you know, such as a pool, stuff like that, those are things that you can add in here. For today's purposes, we are not going to do that. We're going to hit calculate now. And so this comes back with your replacement cost. So you're going to come up here to your valuation report, and you're going to download this valuation report. Save it to your desktop. I don't care where you save it, but that's something that you'll want to attach in BriteCore once you go through there. If you're insuring 100% to replacement cost, we like this big bold number. 90%, you of course would figure it 90% to that. This, as long as you're within this range down here, we will roll with it if you're working with 100% to replacement cost there. So any questions? If you have any questions, throw them in the chat there on 360 value. If there are no questions, we're going to go ahead and go through the agricultural one here. So this one would be used for, we're starting to see a lot of shomes, shouses, barn dominiums, whatever you want to call them. We a lot of people are starting to build those. And so if you have one of those, this is where you would come in and quote that dwelling. This is also any buildings that are over $150,000 for the value. We are starting to require 360 values on those. I'll go ahead and throw a bug out there that moving forward, January 1, we will start requiring 360 values on all buildings that are replacement costs. So if you want to go ahead and get in the habit of them, it is insuring them 80% to replacement cost values. So type 1s and type 2s that have replacement costs, these will, you know, this will be something that we will start requiring. So primary building, general use livestock barn, you can use that, or sometimes this residential type garage is also one that we use for a shome, a shouse, a barn dominium. So we're going to leave it here. You're going to put in your length. I'm going to make this ginormous. So then you're going to add in your built-in use here. Your built-in use is, you're going to scroll down and you're going to come to living space ground floor only. So if they have really went above and beyond on the living space, you're going to put that it's above average. You can leave it as standard, and then you're going to put in the square footage of just the living space. And as you notice, when I hit tab, it subtracts that from the main building. So we've got a total of 6,000 square feet now. You're going to go ahead and hit continue, put in what year you're built, height, if there's any percentage of it that is a loft. 50%. The construction type, exterior walls, foundation type, concrete slab. So then you're going to go across here to answer any other information here. So structural, here's where the painted rib metal. So I apologize for that. So painted rib metal, and then floor system, since it is concrete, it's going to be included there. You know, if you have heating in the livestock barn, if there's a bathroom, stuff like that are going to be your use options there. So then if you scroll down, you will see that it gives you the living space information as well. So if you click these tabs, you can answer information about the living space as well. So general, structural, use options. If you have, you know, that they have 2 sliding doors, 1 sectional door, just the bells and whistle part of this, you can add it. And then once you've added all those, you're going to hit calculate now. That should come up. So if you are insuring your barn dominium as coverage A, the same rules are going to apply. If you're going 100% replacement cost into the exclusive program, it would need to be this number here. Same way, if you're going into the Form 2 protector program, it would be the 80%. So same rules are going to apply if this is where they are living. This is truly a building. Those buildings are 80% to that 360 value. So questions on agricultural buildings? Steph, did I miss anything on that you think we should point out?
No, I think
Okay.
it's good.
Perfect. All right. So once you've done your 360 value, you're going to come in here to BriteCore. And like Matt showed you earlier, you're going to get to that by your login here, your BriteCore login. So once you're logged in, you're going to create a new policy. Okay. So you're going to put in your named insured. And as you see, Robin McTester has been quoted here once or twice. So it's going to populate that named insured. If this was somebody that you've never quoted before, the screen is going to look like this. We do need a social security number and date of birth, address, and then a phone number. We're going to X out of that because it's going to give me an error here. So okay. And typically, if this shows up, you're none, you're going to hit get credit score. I'm not going to hit this since it is a fake person here. I highly, highly, highly recommend every time, if it's somebody that you've had insured before or you've quoted before, hit this get credit score every time that you are quoting them new, because sometimes things change. And so make sure you hit that every time. So you have two named insureds. You want to come up here and hit the add a named insured. This is where it will allow you to put husband and wife. Doesn't matter which one you put first. Later on, when we're in the rating screen, you're able to select whichever one has the better insurance score. So make sure you do put both spouses on there, whatnot. So additional interest. This down here is going to be used for, especially with my farm policies, we see a lot of trusts, LLCs, corporations, stuff like that. That's where they're going to be listed, is down here under additional interest versus named insured. Sometimes they'll be named insureds, but most of the time they are down here under additional interest. If mom and dad have helped you purchase your home and they are on the deed, they would come down here as additional interest because they're not living with you as a member of that household. So and continue on. So these are going to be our different policy types here. I'm going to go through them kind of quickly, but we will touch on all of them. So we have our basic policy type, we have our basic owner and our basic tenant. So basic owner is owner occupied, meaning that the person who owns the dwelling is living in the dwelling. This is going to be broad form, actual cash value, and the dwelling must be insured for at least $40 per square foot. Basic tenant, same rules, broad form, actual cash value. It is tenant occupied, meaning that you rent that out to a tenant. So $40 per square foot minimum on that as well. We have our countryside program. The countryside program is our hobby farm. So less than 240 acres. They cannot have a combine or a grain bin with this. Typically, they're going to work outside of the home. This is also going to be where, we've bought a couple acres. We have a she shed or a man shed, and maybe we've bought a cow or something like that. This would be a good fit for that as well. I know that sometimes we have a house in town, but yet we bought 40 acres outside of town because we have some cows. Same thing. This would probably be the fit for it because we're going to have to go with that farm liability. So we've got our countryside estate, which is our broad form replacement cost. Minimum insured value is 80,000, must be insured 80% of that 360 cost estimator. Guidelines must be outside of city limits. Those are things that we have, kind of gotten away from a little bit, just because if we've got to have that farm liability because they have acres outside of town, we'll definitely look at that there. So then we've got our countryside exclusive. So it is special form coverage, replacement cost, minimum insured value 125,000, and this would have to be insured to 100% of that 360 value because it is in our exclusive program. This exclusive program is a little bit different than our other ones. The dwelling must be updated within the last 20 years on this program, whereas the other exclusives are built within the last 25 years. So if you have an older home and you're on the fence of if it could go exclusive or estate on the countryside program, definitely reach out to one of the underwriters and let them take a look before, just picking where to go on that one. The exclusive program would not be for your double wides or your modular homes. We will put those in as broad form replacement cost coverage if you've got double wide modular home, stuff like that. So then we have our farm rentals program. So our farm rental and our regular rental program, they kind of mirror each other. The main difference is that you can have farming exposure on the farm rental program, meaning you could have the good bells and whistles that we offer for our machinery, the buildings at replacement cost value on type 1 and type 2. So we've got our farm basic rental. So that's going to be just like up above where we discussed our basic rentals. So we've got $40 per square foot, broad form, actual cash value. And then again, you could schedule tractors, you could schedule buildings, stuff like that. Same farm guidelines are going to go along with that. Then we have our farm limited rental. So this one is Form 1, actual cash value, dwelling must be insured for $25 per square foot. Form 2, replacement costs. So Form 2 replacement cost, insured 80% of that 360 value, minimum value of $40,000. Our Form 3, special form, dwelling must be insured 90% of that 360 value. Same thing with the countrysides and these rentals. Your double wides, modulars, we like those to go broad form replacement costs versus the special form. So, and then, everybody's favorite, the single wide mobile home rentals. So there's our rental program. We'll go ahead and while we are talking rentals, talk about just our normal rental programs that we have here as well. So we've got our single family or duplex rental Form 2, 80% to the 360 values, minimum value of 60,000. So if you have a double wide mobile home, it could go into this Form 2 program. And then we have our Form 3, minimum insured value of 60,000, 360 value, 90% on that one. And then we do have our landlord rentals, 3 and 4 family. So a lot of people get confused on that because they see these words landlord rental. Make sure you do notice that this is single family or duplex. So if you have a duplex or a single family dwelling, they're going to come down here into these single family or duplex rental versus this landlord's rental 3 and 4 family. So these 3 and 4 family dwellings are truly that. It is a triplex or a fourplex there. So then we come back up here to our farm owners program. Our farm owners program and our homeowners program are going to be the exact same things on requirements. The farm owners program is just going to offer replacement cost on type 1 and type 2 buildings. You can have farm blankets, you can schedule machinery. All of the farm bells and whistles are going to come with the farm stuff. So we have our HO4 contents, and then we have our FO4 contents. We have our home protector, which is broad form replacement cost, minimum insured value of 60,000, must be insured 80% of that 360. We also have the farm protector. Then we have our homestead. Our homestead is our Form 3 replacement cost. dwellings must be built 1950s and newer in order to go into this homestead program. And that's going to be on any of the Form 3 special form. I probably should have mentioned that earlier. So 1950s and newer would be Form 3 qualification. Now, there are going to be some, if they've not been kept up well and stuff like that, that it would probably kick to the Form 2 side of things. But we had to have some kind of guideline to go by. So if you are wanting Form 3 special form coverage, it must be built 1950s and newer on that. Then we come down here to our homestead exclusive. So these are going to be 25 years and newer. Minimum insured value 150,000, must be insured 100% to this 360 value here. So everything that's in the homeowners program is mirrored up here in the farm program. So same rules for all of those on your Cov A. Then we have our limited owner, limited tenant, and vacant. These are Form 1 ACV, $25 per square foot minimum. Vacant policies, theft and vandalism are excluded from coverage on those. So keep that in mind if you are writing a vacant. Mobile homes, we have our mobile select, which is going to be single wide. So if you are in the mobile home program, these are all for single wides only. If you have a double wide and are looking for broad form replacement costs, that's going to go into the protector programs or into the countryside estate. So we've talked about our rentals, and then we do have our umbrella. If you are writing an umbrella with us, you do have to have home, auto, and umbrella all with CFM. Currently, we do not have a farm umbrella. So if you are writing a farm program, we will not be able to write that umbrella over you because we do not have a farm umbrella. So home, personal auto, and your personal umbrella. So let's go up here and we'll click on one of these programs. Okay. Your policy term effective date. So you're going to want to make sure that you put in whatever your effective date needs to be in here. Use the tabs on this. It functions a lot easier. Sometimes if you don't use tab, it will confuse the system, not gonna lie. So then you've got your underwriting questions in here. On these underwriting questions, if for any reason you feel like that you should answer no on questions 1 through 5, I need you to stop what you're doing and pick up the phone and call or shoot an email to an underwriter before you go on. Because if you hit no to these, it is going to lock you out of this quote and you'll have to start new. So questions that we are asking. Has any member of the household been charged with a felony? So if you feel like you need to answer yes to that, go ahead and click no. So that way it does not lock you out of this, and pick up the phone and call and talk with an underwriter so we can decide if we're going to proceed with that or not. Same thing with number 2, bankruptcy. If they've had a bankruptcy within the last 5 years, they would not qualify for coverage. Has anyone in the household sustained a prior fire loss, or has there been a prior fire loss to this property in the last 10 years? If you need to answer yes, go ahead and pick up the phone or shoot an email to Taylor or myself and let us look at that. Has anyone in the household sustained a prior liability loss, or has a claim been made against them? Same thing. If yes, contact an underwriter. Is there unrepaired damage to a structure? Has there ever been a claim for water damage to this dwelling? If yes, you need to contact an underwriter. And then the last one, does the applicant give permission to collect personal information about themselves? This is your only one that should be yes. So let's go through and answer these. All no, yes. So we can go ahead and continue on. So if you're working in a homeowner's policy, you should be able to just hit copy from named insured here. And it should copy that address over. If you're working with a rental, you of course would have to put in that rental information. Then you come down here. If you have a mortgagee or a lost payee that you need to add, if you type slowly, it should populate the banks. So the more information you give, the least amount of options it's going to give you. So go ahead and see if your mortgagee is listed in here instead of adding a new one, just because there are thousands of them in here. So you might as well use it if we have it. So we'll go ahead and pick that. We'll put them as first mortgagee. If you have their loan number, go ahead and put that in there. And then if you need to add another, you just click add another. And if, let's say that this one's a lost payee on a tractor, so you're going to put in what they are. So John Deere should populate. So we're going to go with John Deere Financial, and we're going to change them to a lost payee. So you can put a description that they are on the 60/40 whatever. Or I will also show you how you can attach them to a specific piece of machinery here. So that's how you add your mortgagees, lost payees. This is where you can add photos. You can add photos in here, or you can add photos under attachments. So the only photos that you can add in here are going to be JPEG or PNG. Anything that's a PDF will not attach here. So for sure, if I've got any. Okay, so we're going to add a photo here. So you would just add however many photos you have here. And you can just keep hitting add another, add another, add another. If you are working on a farm policy for me, or even on a policy for Steph, if you want to label these photos, it makes our job a lot easier when it comes to claims, when it comes to underwriting, etc. If you hold the shift key down and click where it says whatever the photo is labeled right now, it will give you a box. So you can type in that it is the red barn 30/40, or whatever you want to call it, whatever your insured calls it, whatever you want, but it will then attach it. If you have an excluded building, include that photo and put 30/40 excluded building. It just makes the process go a lot faster there. So shift, click, it gives you the box to type. Okay, now we're down here to our loss history. You're going to want to go ahead and hit your get loss history. I do want to point out here that not every company reports to the company that runs our loss history for us. So I'm going to just throw this out there. We are beginning to see quite a few quotes coming in from Cameron Mutual, and that is one who does not report to this company. So we are going to require loss runs on any of those policies. So keep that in the back of your mind, that if you are submitting a policy that was previously insured with that company or with another company that you know does not report here, you know that they've had a loss, attach those loss runs for us. Okay. You can attach them in the attachments later on, but we are requiring those. So we're going to go ahead and hit next. And this is where we're going to build our policy here. So under Cov A, we're going to put in our value. I don't even remember what my 360 value came in at, but we're going to do that. You're going to check your protection class. Okay, protection class. If they are within 5 miles of the responding fire department, they get to check that, or they get to pick that protection class. If they are 6 miles from that responding fire department, they automatically go a protection class 10. 5 miles and under, protection class of the responding fire department. Over 5 miles, automatically a protection class 10. Okay. If you need to know what their protection class is, if you click on this little I, it's going to pop up this box. It's going to bring you to a protection class list. Maybe.
Well, and I will tell you that protection class list that we have out there in BriteCore is an older one.
Okay.
So if you know that the town class for the one you're using, our list maybe says a 5, but you know it's been upgraded to a 4, you can go ahead and use whatever's the most current because I think ours is like from 2019 maybe. I don't know that it's
Sure
super
is.
current.
There you go. 19. So yeah, but I really wanted to just make sure and stress that going from a responding fire department of protection class 4 to if you're 6 or 7 miles and you submit it as a 4 to me, it's going to change to a 10 and it will change the price. So keep that in the back of your mind. Okay. So we'll go ahead and we'll do this one as a 9. Okay. So it's going to pull your county from the previous page. Your deductible of $1,500 is what we are doing as a base deductible now. So I'm going to go ahead and just suggest that that's probably where you need to start. You can do 1,000 still, but it is going to cost a little bit more to do that. So answer some. This is where I was saying in the policy where you would answer functional replacement costs if it is 1950s and older. So primary heat source. Named insured year of birth. So you're going to either want to put your oldest named insured or your youngest. We do offer senior discount or millennial discount. Millennial discount is, you guys might have to refresh me on it. I believe it is 35 and younger. And then senior is 60 and older, I think is what that is. So 2000. If they have an auto policy, if they have an auto policy with us or within your agency, you can answer auto policy yes. We do give a discount if you have the auto policy within your agency. Seasonal property. So we do write seasonal properties, whether that's a lake home or maybe they have a farm that they go to every weekend, but they live in town. So you're going to want to make sure and to do either yes, include theft and vandalism, or yes, it is seasonal and you're going to exclude theft and vandalism here on the seasonal. And then builder's risk, that's going to give them 5,000 theft of building materials. So both of those, no. Once you've answered your CUB-A stuff, I always recommend to scroll down here and you have to answer the wood solid fuel heat surcharge. And you have to scroll down and answer this insurance rating. Okay. Once you have done those things, I recommend to come down and hit rate and save because what will happen is if you get a phone call, if you get up to help somebody and you've put all this information in and you have not hit rate and save and it times out, it will not save it. So I am a big pusher of that rate and save after you've done any kind of adding or, whatnot, just so that way, if you get a phone call, have to step away, it has saved everything in there that you have previously done. So as you'll see, this is just the dwelling. So if we were doing a home for Stephanie, typically in Steph's program, you're going to have your CUB-A, and then you're going to come down here and you're going to have to add liability. Our policies do not automatically come with liability. You scroll down to the bottom right above rate and save, and you hit add liability or inland marine. For my purposes, we're going to go ahead and do farm liability today. But if you were doing a policy for Steph, you would have you'd select personal liability here. Her other options are going to be commercial that you will see. That commercial liability would be something you would roll on if it was a seasonal home, or if you were working in the rental program, you would select the commercial liability. So we're going to do farm liability. And as you see, it's sitting here loading and the box does not go away. If you continue to click farm liability because you are going, why is this not adding on? Because once you start adding a bunch of stuff, you're probably not going to be able to see this box here. But I've clicked it now 3 times because I did not think that it was working. And as you see here, it has added it 3 times. So keep that in mind when you're adding stuff, to just click it once and double check to see if it's added it for you. So we're going to add that on. In here, you're going to want to put in how many acres you have if you're working on the farm side of things. So we'll go ahead and put in 500 acres. So again, like you see, I always do something and then come down here and hit rate and save, just because I've lost big farm policies before not doing that. So since we are in a farm program, we'll go ahead and show you how to do the add line items to property. So this is going to be adding buildings, adding farm blanket, adding machinery, stuff like that. So I clicked this add line items to property. And as you see, it is still loading. Okay, so you're going to scroll down here and you'll see where you can start adding your farm bells and whistles. So you've got your coverage E dwelling. If they have maybe an old farmhouse that they need some coverage on, Form 1 type coverage, you would do coverage E dwelling. Type 1, Type 2 buildings, Type 1 buildings. The rule on those is really, your newer buildings, 25 years and newer, Morton style, owner, use, that type of stuff. Both of these are replacement costs. It's just your Type 2 are your older buildings that do, qualify for that replacement cost. So we'll do a Type 2. We'll do some machinery. So if you have any specific questions on farm coverages and stuff like that, please reach out to Taylor or myself, and we can definitely talk to you about those coverages and get a little bit more in depth than what we're doing here today. We also have our discounts here. So legacy discount applies to the insureds who are second or more generation of their family to carry CFM insurance. So mom and dad have their insurance with us, and son and daughter-in-law are going to have a policy. You can add that to both insured's policies there, so that way they can both get a discount. Military or veteran, if they are military or veteran, add that one on. Education, public safety. So current or retired teachers, policemen, firemen, paramedics, first responders, and EMTs, they could get that. The traditions discount, second or more generation farmer. Crop insurance discount, if you write their crop insurance in your office, you can put this on your farm policies. Missouri Cattlemen's Association, if they're a member of the Cattlemen's Association, same thing. Missouri Soybean Association. So anything that you add it and then click done. So we'll go ahead and go in here for your building description. Metal, roof year, and make sure you do put location. And so even if it is at the main location, go ahead and put location 1, because if they end up and add additional locations, we'll at least have it listed here of what location that building was on. So they have multiple buildings, same thing with your machinery here. Instead of adding it a second time up in this add line items to property, if you are scheduling the same type of building, you would just click add another. And then, like I said earlier, remember how I said we could add a lost payee here? I know I did John Deere, but we'll go ahead and just attach them just to this building here. So now, as you see, they're attached just to this building versus being attached to the other two as well. So that is how you add a building. Then we'll come down here. Machinery is the same way. That is how you would add machinery as well. Same thing. You just hit add another. Then again, come down here and hit rate and save. So let's say you want to present this to your insured. You're going to hit print quote summary, and it will generate this quote summary for them. Maybe. We'll see if that generates in a second. So they love it. They want to go with us. You're going to scroll up here to the top here. And where you see this toggle switch, policy is a quote. When you click it, it now says policy is an application. Okay. What that has done is it has now opened up the underwriting questions down here at the bottom. Sorry. Underwriting questions, 40 required fields. Okay. You do have to put something in every single one of those. Okay. If it does not, it's not applicable, just go ahead and put NA in there. But you do have to answer every single one of these questions. In the farm liability, there are also some additional questions as well right here that are required for farm policies. Once you've answered all of those, you're going to hit rate and save again. So how do you add a building or a lawnmower on a homestead Form 3 policy? So a building on a homestead policy would be additional related private structures unless it has farming use. If it has farming use, it would not be it should not be on a homestead policy. It would need to go into the farm program, whether that's countryside or into the farming program itself. Lawnmower, I will show you how to add that. But up here under add line items to property, you're going to see right here, additional related private structures, where you could add a building onto a home policy. So you're going to see that it comes with 10% of your coverage. If you need to add a 40,000 detached garage or whatever. Again, I'm going to stress to make sure that that does not have any kind of farming exposure. So if you own a tractor, maybe you keep some hay in there, it would definitely need to go into the hobby farm type program. So there we've added a building onto a homeowner's policy. If you come down here to add a lawnmower, so if you are needing to add a lawnmower to your policy, you're going to add it as an inland marine. So you're going to hit this plus sign, add liability or inland marine. And then once you've done that, you're going to hit add line items to subline. This is also where you're going to add ATVs on farm only policies. We do not allow ATVs on homeowners policies. So if you were in a farm program, you could add ATV, you could add lawnmower, garden tractors, and related equipment. So we have our ATV, you're going to add that here, put in your information, $10,000, year, item description, serial number. Same thing with your lawnmower, you'd add it the same way, year, 2020. And then the item description. Once you've added it, you hit rate and save, and it'll update your quote for you. If you are adding coverage for ATVs, I do want to point out that you do have to come up here to your farm liability, and you would add ATV off-premise recreation use. If you have 3 ATVs, this is one that you do have to come up here and add it 3 different times. And the reason for that is if you just hit add another in here, we're not capturing any information about that ATV for the off-premise recreation use. So as you see here, I've got it added 3 times now. Versus if you just keep hitting add another, we're not collecting any of that information. Even if that information is the same, it doesn't matter. You have to list them all out separate like this. So, rate and save. I'm going to end up going over Matt's time limit here, so I apologize. We're going to go ahead and hit next because we've answered all of those questions. And so this is going to be your billing. So earlier, as you saw, I did add a mortgagee. So if this is going to be mortgagee bill, you're going to come up here. Okay. And you're going to change this to escrow bill. If they want to see their other bill options, let's say they want to see what quarterly would be, you would change it to quarterly and hit view schedule. This is going to include any fees that we charge here. So this is going to tell you the bill date, the due date, and how much would be due. That does include any fees, so you can print that out. So, excuse me. The only way that you can submit a policy with us is if, without having money in hand, is if it is mortgagee bill. If it is not mortgagee bill, you would have to come down here and enter a payment or add a credit card or ACH account. Okay, we do have to have money in hand. So that's for your initial bill. Here's for your future. So again, if it was escrow, you would change it to escrow, and you would come down here and select who we are supposed to send that bill to. Okay, then you're going to go ahead and hit next. This is where you will add photos if you weren't able to add them earlier on the risks tab, or you'll add your 360, or let's say they had a trust and you know, anything like that. So any of that stuff you would add here. Okay, if they have trust, we do require the trust documents, so you would upload that here. Go ahead and hit upload. Now you'll see that that shows up here under the application documents. Go ahead and hit next. Once you are ready to submit the policy down here, you can print the application. If it's easier for you to print it, have them sign the application, and then you can come back and upload the policy. You'll put in the information on where to email the payment receipt. That can be you, that can be your insured. You'll put in your information on who this confirmation needs to go to that this policy has been submitted. Please put the agent if we should have questions of who we should contact on that. Then you will submit the policy bound and hit submit application here. So that is the process from beginning to end. I'm going to run out here real quick and show you a couple things on an actual active policy. Okay. So on an active policy, anytime you come into a policy, it's going to automatically default to your accounts receivable screen. What you're going to see here is if the renewal had not went, or if the renewal had went out, but the policy term had not changed yet, you would have arrows up here to see back and forth. So as you see now, we've got one down here. You would click on this arrow to see if anything is currently due for that next term. Okay. You need to make a payment. This is how I always recommend making a payment, is by clicking here on make a payment. Electronic payment would be a credit card or an ACH account, or you can sweep it from your account. Once you click on that, it's going to take you to the payment screen. I recommend going to this screen because you know you're applying that policy or you're applying that payment to this specific policy here. So go ahead and go back. Again, defaults to the accounts receivable. Any bills that have went out, anything like that on account history, it's going to see here. So non-pays, invoices, stuff like that will all be down here. Okay. Let's say your insured calls and says, hey, I received this in the mail from the agency. You come over here, or I'm sorry, not from the agency, from the company. So from CFM, if you go to attachments, anything that we have mailed to our insured or emailed to you is going to show up right here. So all of these things, this has been all of the correspondence. Okay. So you will see here under declaration. Okay. This is the most recent declaration here. And you will see that one went to Robin and Jeremy Chambers and one went to the agency. Okay. So if they call and say that they've received something from us, you should be able to go in here and see what they are talking about. Everything that we mail to them, we email to you. Okay. So then if you need to do an endorsement, we require all endorsements to come through BriteCore. I know that there are a handful of people who still like to email those in. Please come in here. And even if it is not something that you're able to do, so for instance, you can't update a mailing address for somebody. It's required that we process that on our side. So on something like that, you would come in here, do your change effective date. Maybe. And so if we're needing to just change the mailing address to a PO box, for instance, type it in right here of what you're needing to do, which also is what I suggest to do even after you make the change. So let's say you're adding a John Deere tractor to the policy. I would type a note in here of what changes you've done. Added, updated, mailing address and added John Deere tractor. Okay. So updated, type that in there. So then to actually make the change on the John Deere tractor, you would go to the rating tab here. And as you see, this looks just like what we just did. It changes it back into kind of the quoting process. You would add line items to property. If you already, as you see, I've already got describe machinery here. So on this one, you would just hit add another and put in whatever you need to here. Okay. Once you are done with it, if you need to attach anything new, you can attach it. And if not, you would just hit submit the change. Same thing. If this is something that they said, hey, I'm looking at buying this tractor, you wanted to quote and see how much it was going to be, they've decided not to buy it, just discard this. Go back in here and discard it. That way we don't have to reach out to you and go, hey, there was this outstanding change there. Okay. But make sure anything that you need to submit a change on, if it is not something that you can actually do yourself, type it in this additional description. The other button here, file a claim. I hate telling people how to even do this because I don't want claims submitted, but let's be honest, it's kind of been a crazy year. So you can, instead of calling in claims or instead of having your insurance call in claims, you can come over here to file a claim. Once you hit yes, it's going to take you to another page here. You will fill out, it'll automatically pull all your policy information here. You just fill out this lost date, lost time, the property, what the lost cause was, if there's any additional information. We do ask that you get an updated phone number just to make sure that we've got that right phone number to reach out to the insured. Reported by insured, reported to Robin Chambers, submit claim. Any questions? Throw them in chat. I think that's everything. So Matt, I'll keep sharing my screen, but I'll let you take over. So that way, if we need to go through anything else, we can.
No, I thought that was great. I think we covered everything. Yep. Robin, Steph, and I will be on for a little while. If you have questions that you want to either put in the chat or ask amongst yourselves, we're available. But there's a good rundown of all the products, certainly the system, and of course then the dashboard. And like I said, this will be recorded. And we will either have the entire recording on the dashboard or we will kind of piece it together by subject. And if you have a specific question, hopefully it's covered in the recording in some fashion. But I appreciate everyone's time. And if you have questions, please reach out to utilize that dashboard, find the staff person that meets your question, and we'd be happy to help.
And I'm just going to add a little tip for you guys. If you want to kind of speed up the application process or getting policies issued, just please remember that we are getting inundated with a ton of new applications right now. So we're probably not issuing them as fast as maybe you're used to. If anything needs attached to your quote, pictures of the dwelling, pictures of buildings, your 360 value, an EFT, we need a signed EFT authorization form attached to the policy if it is going to be set up on EFT. So any of those documents that you can go ahead and attach to the quote and we don't have to ask you for will speed things up for us on our side.
There are two places for that EFT form. Agency dashboard, you can find it out there. Or when you are choosing your billing method, electronic auto pay form generates it right there. So, you know, we've got two places for you to find that form, but I know a lot of policies do get kind of held up for that. So yes, thank you everyone for jumping on. Steph, are you reading that question?
Or wait until it's issued and then take payment. I believe money is taken when it's submitted.
And then, like, let's say it is monthly EFT, it is then withdrawn on the effective date. So if it's a 1/15, it would be withdrawn on the 15th of every month moving forward. And we do not have a way to change that date.
And we also have a general underwriting box. I think a lot of people kind of assume that Robin and I are their contact person. And I'll just tell you, moving forward, Robin mostly, and then me some, are working on the new system. But yes, Robin put it in the chat. There's an underwriting email box that is monitored. So if you just have a general question or if you want to throw something in our live chat, that will probably get you an answer a little bit quicker. Robin and I we're on a lot of calls and we've just got a lot of things going on here, kind of working towards our new system. So there are other underwriters that are available for you guys. Robin and I typically handle like the wonky stuff or your high valued items. But I have Diana Armstrong, I have Rhonda Evans, Robin has Taylor. So there are other underwriters that you will probably contact first if you just have general questions, or just send it to that underwriting email. And then you usually save your ugly stuff for, for Robin and I.
And as you see here, I just did a live chat. Do you see how quick that was? Like, Jordan's already in there responding
Yeah,
to
he's
me.
really quick. Yep.
So literally it is just click this live chat button down here and it copies to every single page when you're in the policy. So that's it. And then if you need record of it, when you hit in chat, it says put your email address in here. So that way, if somebody says, hey, you can do this, perfect. Put your email in here. It'll email to you. You can attach that to the policy. That way, when it gets issued, they see, oh, hey, Jordan said this was good to go. We're good. Perfect. Okay?
Yeah, and it's really quick for those social security number errors.
Yes.
So, that's a big thing, I think, that, that Jordan can take care of for you really quick. So.
Absolutely. Good tip. That social security thing, that thing's a booger.
Yeah, I'll be glad when that goes away in the new system.
Yep.
Me too. So, are there any other questions or anything else? Anything that anybody wants me to show them specifically? I mean, I'm happy to do it. You have me on the phone, so.
Steph on the home side and Robin on the farm side, you might just talk about kind of what we're looking for appetite wise. I mean, I know that kind of fluctuates year to year, but as of like right now, what are some of the things that agents
No,
need to be looking for?
that's really good. I'm glad you brought that up, Matt, because right now, just because there is so much movement in the industry, we are kind of tightening down on our guidelines a little bit. So maybe in the past where we have been a little more flexible with allowing something on a homestead, you might see us now push that to home protector, where we might have been, yeah, we could maybe do that on a Form 3. We might be pushing that now to a Form 2. So we're taking a look at loss history. We are definitely encouraging higher deductibles. So effective 9/1, we had some new rates go in place, and $1,500 deductible is the new base. So we are just going to encourage you to probably quote everything with a $1,500 deductible or higher. And like I said, we're just looking really hard at loss history. We're just looking really hard at, condition of dwelling, condition of the dwelling roof. We need an accurate age on that. It's possible we're going to, maybe ACV it. If it looks, like it's got some granular loss or might not be in that great a condition. So just know that we're looking over things a little tighter than we used to. And if you ever have, you're not sure about whether this could be a home protector or a homestead, shoot some pictures to that underwriting email. Say, hey, can somebody look at this for me? Is this okay to do, on this certain program? And we'll be glad to look at it for you first.
Yeah, I would say same rules for the dwelling on the farm side of things. The things I'm really looking at is total insured value. That was something that you guys probably didn't ever really hear me say much about on total insured value before this year. But anything over 2 million total insured value is going to come to me for me to review. So if you have those big farms, those need to have prior approvals, stuff like that. We have some wiggle room that we can go up to about 5 million total insured value, but that's going to be on a case by case. And like I said, those were things that you used to be able to just submit and roll with. And those are now things that do have to have approval. So, but home wise, I would say Stephanie and I are both on the same page of, we're definitely holding those guidelines for the protector and homestead, farmstead, and exclusive programs a little bit more like, what the rules say versus we just be like, it's okay. So, and discounts. You guys all know that we used to be able to do discounts a little bit more if I was competing against another company, and that I don't really have a lot of wiggle room on those types of things anymore. So the discounts are not flying out the door like what they used to. So just bear with us on stuff like that.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for your time. Have a great rest of your week, and be on the lookout for additional training opportunities later this year. And like I said, if you have questions, we are here at your service and happy to help. Thanks again.
Thanks everyone.
Everybody.